Welcome to the Lifestyle Builders Podcast, Show 20. In our last episode, we chatted on 7 mistakes to avoid when starting a business. Today, we've got another Q&A series. Welcome to the Lifestyle Builders Podcast, where we bring you real-life strategies on starting and growing a business and finding financial freedom without sacrificing the life you have with your loved ones. We are your hosts, Tom and Ariana Sylvester, and we are married, we're parents, and we're serial entrepreneurs. This podcast is for those who want more out of life. We'll show you how to take the vision you have and create the business that will help you achieve it. Join us as we share practical steps, real-life stories, and help you become a lifestyle builder. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Lifestyle Builders Podcast.
I love these shows.
Yeah, these are fun shows. It's different. You know, it's a different thing every time.
Yeah, well, I mean, and a lot of what we do from a coaching perspective is help people through these types of things. So it's nice to be able to do it beyond just our coaching clients. And, you know, especially because we get such a diverse mix of questions.
Yeah, we really do.
Always keeping us on our toes.
All right. So today we've got actually a new kind of question submission. We've got an audio from someone who has submitted a question. And I'm just going to go ahead and play the audio so that everyone can hear her question and the background info about her business.
Hi, Tom and Ariana. This is Angela Wills from the Laptop Lifestyle Business Club. My question is around niching your business down to a specific market and really honing in on that. My topic or my focus for my business is the laptop lifestyle. And what that means to me is freedom. I'm a mom of 2. So for me, it's freedom to kind of work from the coffee shop, work from the library and things like that. And I'm targeting people like me. But recently, it really kind of struck me that my market, even more niched down, is people who started off in services, because that's where I started. I started off as a virtual assistant 10 years ago and I transitioned, and I've attracted a lot of people looking to do the same thing. So my question is, I don't want to change my business name because that really is still very relevant. But how would you advise me going on to reach out to those people and speak to them more? Do you think I should put it in words in my copy, in my graphics, or should it just be a more subtle message? At this point, I've really attracted a lot of that kind of person, so I'm just looking to kind of target it even more. So I hope that's clear. Thank you.
All right. That's a great question,
That
Angela.
is a great question.
Thank you for submitting. And Angela is actually one of our Lifestyle Builders members. So we've had a chance to get to know her business a little bit better over the last couple of weeks. And we'll put the link to her website into the show notes, but it's laptoplifestyleblogger.com. But let's dive into that question a little bit, because I think this is something a lot of people struggle with and get confused around when it comes to niching down. And that's also one of the weird words on the internet. And some people say niching and some people say niching. So whatever way, tomato, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, so a couple of things here. One, I think Angela's done a lot of things right. You know, the fact that she says she's already attracting these people. Mm-hmm. And, you know, what's kind of cool is when you jump in and when we all have ideas for a business, but what it looks like when you have your idea to what it ultimately becomes always changes. Mm-hmm. And I love the evolution of her business to basically, it was initially this laptop lifestyle thing, and now it's really niching down into people that are like her, mm-hmm. right? Because a lot of times I think we kind of go too broad, but once we get out there, we kind of figure out who is our ideal client and who isn't. Yeah. So with that, it sounds like you're already attracting these people with the copy and the words you're using. I mean, to be honest, I'd probably say just do more of that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to say. One of the best things we've ever done was when we figured out what our niche was, really getting very clear on the words people were using to describe it, the struggles that they were having, the things that we had in common with those people, and that we could all come together on like that one common goal. And since we've done that, that's where we get people coming to us and saying, like, that's what I need. This is the thing. And so if you've already started doing that, as Tom said, do more of it. Get your message even clearer. You don't need to change your name whatsoever, but one thing that can be helpful is maybe like a good tagline to really make it clear about what type of laptop lifestyle people you want to attract. Definitely in your copywriting and in any kind of products that you put out, making sure it's clear in there who you're making this stuff for, who you're trying to help. And then even going so far as to create like your manifesto and just kind of put some of the things out there that you stand for, your mission, your values, because a lot of times it's all very aligned and it all comes back to the same message. But that having that out there makes people like nod their heads and makes people really become involved in that business. Yeah,
I think one of the biggest struggles that most people have is they skip over their avatar. And sometimes people hear, get clear on your avatar, and it's like, well, am I just making this up? Like, why does this really matter? But like one of the things that we do and we always tell people is like, talk to your customer. Like even before you launch a product, like get on the phone and you want to know them in and out. And I mean, so much of like the wording we've used really hasn't been like us being geniuses and like coming up with it.
Nope.
It's been talking to people and listening to the words they use and then using those words in our copy.
Yep.
And you talk about the manifesto. I mean, we literally have it on the wall if you're watching the video. But we had this printed on shirts, and we had lifestyle builders on the front and the manifesto on the back. And we were at a conference recently, and funny story, there was literally this sounds creepy, but it's really not. Literally, a guy followed me out of the bathroom and like tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" And I'm like, "This is kind of weird." And he's like, "I was just reading the manifesto on the back of your shirt," and he's like, "I love it." He's like, it speaks to me so much. He's like, "I have a client that I think would be good for you guys to connect with. Can I connect you guys?" I'm like, "Oh, of course." But I know when we wrote the manifesto and we got really clear on who it was we served, everything became so much easier. And people kind of filtered in. They self-filtered to say, yeah, I'm kind of in this group, or no, that's not me.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately what you want too, is for people to self-identify with the things that you're saying and, kind of the mission that your business has and the values that you have, because you want those raving fans. You want them to tell other people about your business, and you want to be known for that one thing, because that's going to attract even more people to you as they find you.
Yeah, just looking at your website right now, one of the things I don't see is that specific wording around that. So I would recommend starting to make some of those tweaks to your website so that when somebody lands, right away they know this is the place for them or it's not the place for them.
Yeah. All right. I think that covers most of your question. But obviously, you are a lifestyle builder with us, so if you've got any clarifying questions, you can jump in to the Lifestyle Builders group and let us know. Next, we've got a question from Justin Hull, who is from Mid-South Marketing Solutions, LLC. And his question is, what's your best strategy for going from working agency owner who's doing everything to agency owner who's got everything outsourced and focuses on client acquisition? I'm having trouble making the transition. This is a great question, because we get this a lot from... There's so many of us entrepreneurs who go into business offering services to people, and
which is a great way to go.
It is a great way to go.
I love that strategy.
You keep your costs down, and it's a pretty easy thing to start out doing. But every single one of us gets to the point where we have to stop trading our hours for dollars, because you cannot make more time in a day. So in order to grow your business, you have to stop doing all of the work that you're doing and figure out a way to still run your company and get new clients.
I was going to say, and I actually want to read some of the additional information that Justin put in, because I think it adds good context.
Yes.
So he said, we've got about 20 monthly retainer clients. We operate like a well-oiled machine, but I'm running out of gas. With all the work on my plate, I'm simply unable to keep up with it. But I just can't seem to let go and let somebody else handle fulfillment of contracts because I'm the one that started the business. And I feel as though if something goes wrong, it would be better to blame me than to put it off on a VA or some outsourced agency. However, I've hit a cap. I can't go bigger because there's only 24 hours in a day. Hell.
Not 48.
Not 48. But like this is such a common challenge from entrepreneurs as they grow and scale their business.
Yep. And
a lot of what it comes down to that I find with people is how they view themselves and what stories they're telling themselves. There's a great book I think we've actually mentioned on the show before, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. This is what this really sounds like. You're doing, as the founder of a business, when you first start out, you're typically doing everything. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to get to a point, just like Justin has, where you literally can't grow the business because you're now the bottleneck in the business. So a couple things here. One, I would say really look at the role that you're playing and the role that you want to play. And I'd be looking for where are the things where the business can't grow because you're the person there that really is that bottleneck in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm going to use myself as an example here because this is the problem that I've always had of that mentality that I'm the one who has to do it and I'm the only one who can do it. And then the feeling of like giving up the control being something that's holding you back from outsourcing or from hiring somebody in to do stuff. I struggled with a lot of that. And for me, it was somebody, Tom, showing me, look, you break down this process. This is a very simple thing, and you can easily train somebody else to do it the way that you do it. Just because it's in your head doesn't mean that you can't put it out there and train someone else to do it exactly how you would do it. So once I had that little bit of a shift and was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And he also pointed out the fact that a lot of things that I was doing, somebody else could do better.
Oh, absolutely.
So I was actually holding the business back in that way by doing these tasks that I had no business even doing. One of the things was the ordering for our wine and liquor store. I was ordering. I didn't actually work at the store, so I wasn't there. I didn't know what people were buying. I didn't know what the trends were. I don't actually drink that much alcohol, so I had no idea where things were on the spectrum of like tasting wines and different alcohols. And the employee that we had was very interested in all of this, and he actually worked at the store. So it only made sense, of course I had to knock that through my brain, to teach him the basic ordering system that we had. We set up spreadsheets, we had a budget, all of that, and to let him go with it and actually improve the process. Because once we gave him that task, he actually went on to save our store money because he got smarter with the way that he was ordering things, because he was sitting there looking at the numbers all the time, and he was looking at the books and saying, if I order 5 cases instead of 1, we actually get a better price on this and we'll make the store money and it'll be in stock for the entire year instead of just for the month. So once I realized that, and then that one business, that allowed me to see like, there are things like that everywhere in your business. Absolutely. So that's one of the things that we've definitely had to overcome was my mindset on like hiring people. Like, oh my gosh, I'm letting go of this task that's really important. But if you're hiring the right people and you've got the right processes in place, you're actually going to do your business a service, because that person's going to save you time and also might improve the process as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you hit on so many good points there. One of the first ones, whenever we kind of look at this stuff, I always go back to the owner or the founder and say, how big of a business do you want? Mm-hmm. Sometimes we always just think we got to keep growing, but oftentimes you might have a solid size business and that's all you need. If you do want a bigger business, part of what I asked founders to look at is look at another business this size and see what the owner's doing, right? And see what they're not doing. Because as you scale your business up, you're going to essentially your first set of hires, which it sounds like Justin already has, is going to be just some administrative and then helping you with some of the key pieces. As you scale up and grow a bigger business, you're now going to start hiring people in to actually take over tasks in the specific areas of your business. And then even beyond that, they might even run teams that run those areas of the business. So as the owner, you've got to figure out what role do you want to play, and then what roles really make sense to hire out.
Yeah.
And some of that's based on what you want to be doing. Some of that's based on your skill set. Some of that is just based on figuring out for this business to operate the way you want, what does it have to look like?
Yep. And I've got two random thoughts popped into my head. One is one of the simplest tasks that we always have people do when it comes to I've run out of time is to actually go back and track your time.
Oh yeah, time audit, key.
Time audit. So as you're doing your work during the week, literally write down or use an app or whatever and track every single thing that you're doing every hour. And then at the end of the week, go back and look at that, because if you're spending hours checking emails and going back and forth with clients there, that's a task that you can outsource to a virtual assistant that is controlling your inbox and only giving you the urgent matters that you need to take care of and taking care of the other ones for you. A lot of other stuff like social media, even as far as scheduling, if you've got clients booking calls and stuff like that, you can have somebody else take care of that for you so that you're not, even if it's only taking you 5 minutes added up over the day and then added up over the week can often be an hour or two of your time that you could get back to be working on your business and acquiring those leads. Second thing, we just went to a conference, Funnel Hacking Live, and one of the people at the round tables, Alex Sharfin, mentioned something that I completely was just like nodding my head at. A lot of us struggle with hiring because we're afraid that the person we hire isn't going to mesh with us or it's not going to be the right fit. And one of the things he said was not to worry about talent, to worry about if that person aligns with your values and your mission. And it's genius because honestly, anyone can learn how to do anything, but you want those people working alongside you in your business who believe in what you're doing and who have who have like a piece of their soul kind of connected to it. Like they want the business to achieve and to grow just as much as you do. And they're going to put in the hard work to do so. So if you can find people like that, you may not be able to find the best person doing Facebook ads or blah, blah, blah. But if you can find people who believe in what you're doing and or who are willing to learn, those are the type of people you want to bring in, and you can train them along the way. And as they grow, your business grows alongside it.
Yeah, and that's one of probably the biggest hiring mistakes people make is they try to hire the best skills. Whereas time and time again, we found you want to hire the right people. There's sometimes, depending on what you're doing, there's sometimes a minimum skill set required.
Oh, yeah.
But in a lot of cases, most of that can be trained. Or you can go and purchase a course and have them go through that.
Yeah.
Especially stuff like this, like in marketing, is changing all the time. So, you probably have some internal training, or, you can purchase somebody else's course. You might have already done that you've gone through and just have them go through it as well. But yeah, two of the questions I always ask people when we go to hire, the first two questions I ask, tell me your story, because it's so open-ended that I can get a lot from that. What are they very good at speaking? Are they going into a lot of detail? Are they not talking a lot? What pieces do they tell me that they think are important? So when I put them in front of a client or somewhere else, are they going to be able to be articulate?
Yep.
And then second, why are we chatting today? So I start to get their intention. Are they here just because they need a job, or are they here because they've been following us for a while? They really like what we do and what we stand for. That's the person I want to hire. And then we'll get into some of the other stuff. But a lot of this really comes down to the other pieces, you growing as the leader and being the person that can have that business. Because a lot of times we get focused on the business stuff, and what people often neglect is having to grow as a person and as a leader. And this is a lot of where I spent my time, was helping people really figure out what is that role they play and how does that morph as their business grows and goes to different phases.
Yep. And one thing I want to say too is one of the toughest things is when you hire somebody and you've got to teach them all of this stuff all at once, and some of the things you don't even know how you do them. So then you have to go back and think about, okay, how do I do this to then train this other person to do it?
And that's a lot of why people think they can't outsource.
Exactly. One of the best things we have started doing is literally recording whatever we do with useloom.com. So just creating a quick Loom video. And while we're walking through the process, we talk through the process and say, okay, this is how we do this. And then we do this step and blah, blah, blah. And keeping a file of those processes is huge. When you're hiring someone new into the company, you can say, hey, here's your standard operating procedures. Here's every process that we do in our business, and here's how I do it. So then you're giving them all of that stuff. They have all of this training that is kind of already pre-prepared for them, and it lessens that barrier to entry for the new person, but it also gives you some peace of mind because you're already doing all these tasks. You might as well just hit the record button and walk through what you're doing so that you've got it there. It's in your archives. And now anytime you hire someone, you go through and say, okay, this person's going to be responsible for this, this, and this. You pull those recordings of those processes, and now those people already have some trainings ready.
Yeah, and an important point that you hit on there, if you haven't been a manager, like if you haven't managed people before, if you haven't led people, sometimes when you hire, you like are a micromanager. This happens all the time where you tell someone exactly how they got to do things. Mm-hmm. What you really want to be doing is you want to, like you said, hire the people that are going to be a good fit for your company. And first off, you want to share the vision. You want to share, why are we doing this? And you want to get them on the same page there, because then when that happens, it's less about telling them step by step and more telling them where we're going, mm-hmm. giving them the guide rails and the support, and oftentimes they'll do a better job than you. Yes. So there's sometimes where you will have to give people step by step, but I always recommend the people you hire in, show them where you're going, yeah. and ask them, like, how could we do this better? Like, what do you think? Mm-hmm. And what that's going to do, not only is you're going to get a better product at the end, your employees are going to be more motivated because they're part of it. They're creating it. Yeah. They're not just listening to everything you do.
No one wants to be micromanaged. That's why people want to leave 9 to 5.
And on the flip side of that, sometimes leaders are reluctant to let things go because they feel like they're not going to have control of their business. This is where you start shifting to looking at KPIs or key performance indicators. Every process, you can have a check-in at the end to make sure the process is done right. And then really the way that owners lead their business is by looking at key numbers. And like one of my favorite things, and our daughter's favorite thing as well, is having a dashboard, having a scoreboard. And what that allows you to do is you have the key numbers for your business, and then you can run your business that way and see what's going well, what isn't. And this is also where a lot of what we talk about is having that daily huddle, right? A 15-minute meeting each day just to check in on everyone and see, what are you working on? What have you got done? What's in your way? What do you need help with? Yeah. And then even the weekly meetings to kind of plan things out.
Well, and there's so many, there's so many pieces of software now to help companies communicate with each other. So you've got Loom where you can record videos. You've got Slack where you can have company channels and people can pop in and ask questions or give updates. You've got Skype and Zoom where you can do virtual company meetings. So there's a ton of ways to kind of set your business up for success when you're going through this growth period. So it's just a matter of like being aware of all of these things and then doing your best to take your business down that road.
I was gonna say, and one final thing, and this is a lesson I had to learn personally. Oftentimes when we've had some success, we get in this mindset, and I'm not saying this is you, Justin, but I know it was me, where it's like, well, I can do all this on my own. Look what I've already done. And I had that mindset for a long time, and that actually inhibited our businesses and even my personal growth. And once I started actually opening up and saying, okay, I've done some good stuff, but I don't have all the answers. And I started picking on those people that were experts or coaches or mentors that could help me. It was amazing, like how much I grew, how much more successful our businesses were, our clients were. So one thing that I would just recommend is as you go through these different periods of growth, look for, people or whatever that support is for you, because oftentimes it's easier to do these things with that outside support than just trying to do it ourselves. Like, leverage the people that have been there before and that can be honest and supporting and helping you as you grow. But I just got to say, awesome job on what you've done so far. I mean, having that many retainer clients going in, and sounds like you've got a great business going, and now you're looking at the next step on how you make that bigger. So good job, man.
Yeah, and for anyone who wants to learn more about Justin's business, we will include the link to his website on the show notes page, which is going to be at tomandariana.com/20. All right, I think we are ready for question number 3. We got a little excited about Justin's question.
That's a great question.
And this question was submitted by Victoria Hutton at starlightandstories.com. And I know she also is going to have a new website that she's working on, which should be launching by the time this podcast comes out, hopefully, autismconsultancyinternational.com. So Victoria wants to know, I would really like advice on how to set challenging goals when you don't have experience in the business world. If you ask me any question about autism, I can tell you the answer. I know the goals for my students straight away, but I'm less good at setting them for myself. And just to give you a little bit of background, Victoria has spent her life working in schools, but having blogged about autism for the last year and grown her audience to over 31,000 monthly views, she's realized how big the need is for really in-depth autism knowledge. She launched her first course a couple months ago, and she's now in the process of setting up her autism consultancy service.
Wow. Love me some goal setting.
I know. I knew you were going to love this question too. Not that you don't love every single question.
I know, I really do. All right. So, one of the things we always tell people is, your business goals, you want to understand why you're setting those goals. And for us, usually it comes back to one, they tie back into your personal goals, right? So usually we have the business to achieve some goals in our personal lives. The second reason we typically have business goals is for the impact that we want to have on people that we're helping. So whenever we come back to setting goals, and when I work with the companies on helping them set their goals and their vision, I always come back to first asking those two things. How does this tie into your personal goals? And then what's that impact you want to make? And as we have some discussions around those, what we can do is actually define, where do we want to take this, right? Like, how many people do we want to impact? Why do we want to have that impact? And then, what we do from there is, what's the time frame for that? Is that a 20-year time frame, a 10-year time frame, a 1-year time frame? And we actually go through a lot of this in our Plan with Purpose course.
Yep.
But with that said, when it comes to setting challenging goals, one of the things I always like to do is when I have a goal and it's out there, I keep pushing that goal until it feels a little bit uncomfortable. Like, one of the things I'll do with people is say,
that's what I was going to say. Make it slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah. Hey, do you think, let's say you're trying to get new clients. Hey, do you think you can get 10 new clients a month? Oh yeah, I can get 10 new. All right. Well, can you get 15? Yeah, I can get 15. Well, can you get 20? I'm not sure. All right, so let's set it for 20, because what that's likely going to do is, it's a realistic goal, but it's a little bit outside your comfort zone. And what that's going to force you to do is, you're going to have to step up. You're not going to slack off, and you're probably going to be a little more motivated because it's just challenging enough, but not like shooting for the stars and you're going to completely miss the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like that slightly uncomfortable goal setting is what works a lot for me as well, because I am one of those people who I see the big numbers and I immediately balk at, like, oh, that's just unreasonable. That's ridiculous. So I need, in my own mind, the goals have to make sense. It has to be something that I see as attainable. But as you said, definitely something that's slightly out of that comfort zone. Because if you don't do slightly out of your comfort zone, setting easy to reach goals over and over and over again actually does you a disservice.
Yep.
It causes you to have less growth. It causes you to, it doesn't give you some of the mindset shifts and some of the things that you have to have in order to continue growing as a leader, to continue growing your mindset around things, to continue growing your business. Because just making something easy, like psychologically, doesn't do anything for you.
Yep. One of the things, so let me just put this out there. There's really not much new when it comes to goal setting.
No.
So I've read all the books. I spent years doing this stuff in like Fortune 500 companies. And at the end of the day, there's a handful of principles that come up. And one of them for people is, potentially setting the goal that you want to achieve, and then setting one that's maybe a little bit less than that and one that's a little bit more than that. So some people will call this like good, better, best. There's a million different terms for it. But another way to look at it is, what is the goal that, you would be happy if you achieved? And so maybe that's the easier goal.
Maybe that's the 15 new clients.
Yeah, maybe that's the 15 new clients. Then you get to the one that's a little bit uncomfortable, and maybe that's the 20 new clients. And then you say, and I like this activity, even if you don't actually set this goal, what would it mean if we got like 50 new clients, right? It's not saying that we're going to do this. And every time I do this, Ariana's like, oh my God, what do you mean? But sometimes, like Grant Cardone has a book, and he talks a lot about 10xing things. One of the activities I like to take people through is say, okay, so your goal is 20 new clients. We just take a really big goal. We say, well, what if this? What would it look like if we got 50 new clients? And it's not to say that we're necessarily going to do that, but it shifts your thinking. So now instead of saying, well, I'm just going to do this and I'll be able to hit my goals, now you start thinking, well, if I was going to get 50 new clients, I would have to do this and I would have to think this way. Oftentimes, you can then bring that thought process and that mindset into the goals you have now, and it'll often make it much easier to blow those goals away.
Mm-hmm. Well, and one of the things that we talk about a lot, I think, because so many people have that your predisposed thoughts around like what goal setting should look like, or what are your challenging goals should look like. And what it really all comes down to is, what does it mean for you? A lot of people struggle with setting goals and hitting goals because they're trying to follow someone else's process and someone else's method that's been proven to work. But the thing is, it's been proven to work for them and maybe some people like them, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work for everybody. And so what we like to talk about a lot is figuring out some of the things that drive you and some of the things that work for you. And then when you're going to set goals, figure out that process, like put that process in place for yourself. If you're someone who needs accountability when it comes to goal setting, then find somebody to keep you accountable. Find a group, find a program, find something, and then set those goals and challenge yourself and have that support of those people keeping you accountable. If you're somebody who is a very visual person, put your goals on the wall, whiteboard it. We used to have a big taped out wall full of Post-it notes, put it on your computer screen, do something where you're constantly visualizing those goals, and that'll keep you motivated. If you're somebody who wants to write in a journal, if you're a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Journaler.
No. Touch instead of visual.
I don't know.
Oh, you're super helpful. If you're somebody who needs to touch and like needs to write things down, there are like a million journals out there where you can set goals, and then you can break the goals down, and you can set the tasks that you have to do to reach those goals. And it's got like all the different stuff that you can write in the book. Get a journal and try to do it that way. I know a lot of people out there struggle with journals because, again, the journals are set in a specific way. If you want, get a blank one and make up your own goal journal. But really look at yourself, at how you work, at how you problem solve, at how you process things, and try to incorporate that into any kind of goal setting process that you're going to use, because that's the one that's going to be the most successful for you. And also, you have to have a check-in process. That's one of the biggest pieces is once you've set them, you have to continually be checking in with those goals and how you're doing in order to know how to adjust, or, okay, well, awesome, I hit that goal. Now I've got to set the next goal. So making sure that you're doing that on a constant basis, because if you just set them and then work and kind of forget about them, you're going to get to the end of the year and say, oh, well, I set this goal way back in January. I'm nowhere near hitting that goal. You haven't looked at what direction you were working towards, and you haven't looked at, do I even want that goal anymore? Is that still my same goal, or have things changed for me, and how have they changed?
Yeah, so 2 great points based on what you said. One, especially if you're working by yourself, do goal planning with somebody else. Bring in another business owner and help each other set goals. Or even bring in a coach or a facilitator to help you. I can't tell you how many businesses have brought me in to help lead their goal planning session because I'm an outside party. I'm unbiased, and it lets the business owner and the team really focus on the goals, and I can be asking the dumb questions. I can facilitate the process. So don't try to do this yourself. Pair up with maybe another business owner, or even look at like a coach or somebody to help you with that. The second thing you said is really the tracking piece. And like some people will say, set gigantic goals, and if you miss the moon, you'll still be among stars. Like, to me, that's BS.
Tell us how you really feel.
I know, seriously. But so here's the thing. Your vision should be the big thing. Your vision should be guiding where you're going, but your goals should be realistic. They might be a little bit, of a challenge. Yep. But they need to be realistic. And then part of that check-in, your goals are what we call a lagging indicator. You only know if you've hit your goals after the fact. And once you've seen that, it's either I hit them or I haven't, but I can't change it.
Yep.
Part of what you want to then do is put in place what's called leading indicators. So you want to start looking at, okay, what key activity or activities could I track every week that will then predict if I'm going to hit that goal? So for example, let's say that your goal is to make $10,000 a month. Right. So you break that down and you say, well, how am I going to make $10,000? And then what's the key activity that I can do and track every day or every week? And then by tracking that activity and doing that activity, you're then going to be able to basically predict if you're going to hit that goal.
Yep.
And to your point, when you combine that with the daily meetings with your team, the weekly planning meetings, and then adjusting, that's what ultimately allows you to set goals and then ultimately achieve them.
Yeah.
And this actually ties back into Justin's question as well around a leader, because as you're doing this goal setting, you're doing it with your team and you get everybody on board with that. And then you set up these leading and lagging indicators and a nice scoreboard. It makes your business so much easier to run, especially as you grow.
Yep. And one last thing I want to mention, I know you talked about kind of growing your audience and maybe helping with the need out there for the in-depth autism knowledge. So one of the things that I always like to do when it comes to goal setting is to do a brain dump and write down everything that I want to do in the business. What are all the cool things I saw that would be I want to do that in my business? What are some of the dreams that you've had? Like maybe you want to be on TV and talk about it, or maybe you want to start a podcast, or maybe you want to bring a new autism program into the schools. What are all those big ideas that you've kind of had in the back of your mind and you want to do with your business? And write them all down. Have like an entire list, even the small things too, if there's tiny things that you want to do. Put them all down. And one of the easiest ways to set some of those challenging goals is to look at that list and say, all right, this is a big dream. How can I make this a realistic goal? And to start breaking some of that stuff down. And those are going to be challenging because oftentimes those big dreams that we have a lot of work that you have to put in behind them. But if that's something that you really, really want to do, and that's the goal you have for your business, you can break that down to just the challenging goals and step by step work your way up to the big dream.
Yeah, that's great advice.
All right. So I've loved the 3 questions we had on today. So thank you so much to all 3 of you, Angela, Justin, and Victoria, for submitting those questions. And I hope everyone listening got some little gold nuggets out of some of our answers. If you want to submit a question for us to answer live, head on over to tomandariana.com/question. And as you heard today, you can actually do an audio and record your own question, or you can type it in via text. And I just wanted to point out too, you don't actually have to put your name and website. So if you're somebody who's a little shy and you have a question, but you don't want to be called out live on the show, you can also submit it anonymously. Yeah. All right. It has been another great episode with Tom and Ariana, your hosts and lifestyle builders.
And as always, remember, it's your life, your business, your way. We'll see you guys next time.
Woo. Bye. Are you frustrated by a lack of momentum in your business? Do you want real-time guidance and support from seasoned entrepreneurs who really care about your results? If you're nodding your head, or awkwardly shouting yes in public somewhere, then we invite you to join Lifestyle Builders, a mentorship program designed to meet you where you are and give you strategic and custom guidance so you can build the business you need for the life you crave. You can find out more at joinlifestylebuilders.com.
Your life, your business, your way. Join Family Entrepreneur Life. Join Family Entrepreneur.